most venerable members of the Mahasangha, distinguished scholars, and my dear Dhamma friends, ladies and gentlemen. Before starting my presentation, I would like to pay my heartfelt gratitude for the organizers of this grand conference, Center for Bhutan Studies, as well as the Central Monastic Body, for giving this kind of an occasion for us to present our ideas in front of this kind of audience. Today I am going to present my paper on the function of Dharani in Theravada tradition with reference to Sri Lankan context. As all of you know, Sri Lanka is a Theravada Buddhist country. We are considered one of the centers of the Theravada Buddhism. When I am talking about this topic, you will think that whether Dharani, one of the main rituals of the Tantric tradition, is practiced in Sri Lanka. You will be wondered by listening to this question. However, the objective of this research paper is to identify the influence of Tantric Dharani mantras on Sri Lankan Paritta chanting. That is what I am going to discuss today. Let's move on to the term Dharani. As we know, ethological meaning, Dharani has given various terms, various meanings in the different dictionaries and different places. According to Merriam-Webster's dictionary, you can say act of keeping someone or something, act of keeping extra liquid heat inside the body, or the ability to keep something. That means, as far as concerning the origin of the term Dharani, the term had been created from the root dha means to hold, to maintain something. So, in order to get the meaning of this, clear meaning of this term, Dharani means something or someone, how to survive someone in the universe with the development of one's mind or body. Also, I would like to draw your attention on the various meanings of the term Dharani in various places. We are found in various places. The general meaning of the term Dharani means the earth. The earth, to maintain or to hold the earth, there should be certain extraordinary powers. Therefore, that is found in the term Dharani. So let's move on to the next slide, where we can see Dharani. As we know, if we talk about Tantrayana, Mantrayana, Sahajayana, Kalachakrayana, all these belongs to the Tantric tradition, which has been derived from Mahayana. So basically they have been explained in some sutras, Bodhisattva Bhumi, Dasa Bhumika, Saddharma Pundarika, Lankavatara, Sukhavati Vyuha, and Mahavyutpatti Sutras are the main sources where we can see these types of mantras. Then it is good enough to find out the aims of reciting Dharani, why people are recited Dharani mantras. As you know, Tantric people recite Dharani in order to have certain secular objects, secular aims, to abstain from calamities of inhuman, such as devils and ghosts, to abstain from diseases and epidemic, to have a long life, longevity, domesticate the dangerous animals and prevent from the troubles of large snakes. There are some of the objectives also to have certain, to have a suitable baby, heavenly birth, receive the beneficence are some of the main, what is called aims of reciting Dharani. Let's move on to the significance characteristics of Dharani. They are lone mantras as found in Tantric tradition. Dharanis are longer and more likely to have intelligible phrases. Meaning can be understood from the sound sometimes without not knowing the ideas. By listening to the sound, one can understand that the Dharani, that is another significance characteristic of Dharani. Also, Dharani is a kind of ritual vocalization, as found in Tibetan Buddhism as well as in Tantric tradition. Often in Sanskrit or a transliteration of Sanskrit, we can see sometimes using sounds with no linguistic meanings. That means if we find out the meaning really, we cannot find out because it has no literary meaning sometimes, because they are mantras which is called incantations. Then I would like to draw your attention on the classification of Dharani, where we can find various classifications are found in Dharani. So I am not going to discuss them in detail. All of you are aware of these things very well. So basically, I would like to say that especially one example, Nilakanta Dharani, I adopted from the Shaiva or Vaishnava sources, Padmahasta, Vajrahasta, Chakrahasta, Varahamukha. So these are some of the things that has been adopted from Vaishnava or the Hindu tradition according to my point of view. Let's see the one example, and then these are the 5 main Dharanis which is practiced in Nepal, where we can see Maha Pratisara, Maha Sastra Pramadini, Maha Mayuri, Maha Sitavati, Maha Raksha. These are some of the Dharanis where we can find in especially in Nepal and those countries. So I am not going to discuss them in detail. Now I would like to draw your attention on the Paritta. As you know, the Pali meaning the term Paritta, it has derived from the Sanskrit word Paritrana, where we can see Paritrai and to preservation, deliverance from refuge, retreat and self-defense. That means the meaning of the term Paritta is explained in Pali tradition, Pali commentaries as the Parisamantato Tayati Rakkatiti Parittang. That means entire protection is surrounded by the Paritta chanting. Let's move on to the aims of reciting Paritta. It is also similar to Dharani, where we can see peace and harmony, prosperity, protection, well-being, good health, longevity, encouragement and mental power, joy and happiness, social welfare. These are the aims of reciting Paritta by the Theravada tradition. It is mentioned in the commentaries that Vipatti Patibahaya Sabba Sampatti Siddhya. There are 2 main objectives of reciting Paritta, that is a ward off all the calamities. And Sabba Sampatti Siddhya means to gain all prosperous things to the humans. Then it further says that Sabba Dukkha Vinasaya, ward off all sorrows, all ailments, Sabba Roga Vinasaya, Sabba Bhaya Vinasaya, all fear, and ensure protection from malefic influences is the main objectives of practicing or the reciting Paritta. Here it is clear that by comparing these, the objectives of aims of practice in both Dharani and Paritta, the objectives are similar. They are not expecting any kind of spiritual or the supramundane thing by reciting Paritta or Dharani, but they are expecting some kind of mundane gains that they can achieve in this life itself. Then how to gain best results? Several factors should be combined to bestow the best results on the listeners. The power of the truth, the power of the virtue in both listeners and the reciters, and power of loving kindness. That means who is reciting or the chanting Paritta should have the loving kindness towards all the sentiments. Then the power of sonorous and mellifluous sounds of the recitation is also considered in relation to have good results of the Paritta.
You're at 5 minutes, sir.
Okay. Then I will move on to the research problem which I have. How Dharani has been influenced on Sri Lankan culture. In Sri Lanka there is a Paritta chanting book which is called Chatubhanavara Pali, where I mentioned some of the Paritta discourses, Paritta sutras in Chatubhanavara Pali. It is the entire collection of Paritta discourses used in Sri Lanka, and out of the entire discourses in Chatubhanavara Pali, only the 29 Parittas had been discovered, and they have been recited, preached by the Buddha himself, which has been taken from entire Pali Tripitaka. Apart from that, there are few around 20 suttas, 20 Paritta discourses where we cannot be found in Pali Tripitaka. So now the problem is that from where the Theravada tradition has taken these things. If it is not available in entire Pali Tripitaka, if it is they have not been delivered by the Buddha, how they have been added to Theravada tradition. That is the research problem I have here. So as far as concerning the compilation of Chatubhanavara Pali, it is clear that it has been compiled in Kurunagala period, where we can see 13th or 14th centuries in Sri Lanka. So in that book we can see these things, these discourses, because I believe that this has come into the existence because of the Tantric influence of Tantric tradition to Sri Lanka. Let's move on to the Paritta's influence by Dharani. Here are the list of the Paritta suttas, discourses where we can find in Chatubhanavara Pali, which has been influenced by Dharani mantras of the Tantric tradition. Vasi Paritta, Anavum Paritta, Mahajina Panjara, there are around 20 discourses like this. You can find out the same ideas, so the same similar to the tantras or the mantras of the Tantric tradition. These are some examples. Let's move on to the impact of Dharani on Paritta, how it has become, how it has come into existence. The objectives of reciting both Dharani and Paritta are similar, as you know. Here also you can see the same Dharani and the Paritta, what are the objectives, and as I pointed out earlier, they are similar. Then both Dharanis and some benedictory Paritta suttas are equivalent to lone mantras, where we can see some of the 2-3 words are recited again and again. That is the significance characteristic of the Dharani, whereas we can see in the Pali Tripitaka too. That means these benedictory discourses too. Then the way gaining best results also quite similar, because they are concerning about the Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha, while also the Dharani is practiced to have the benison of the gods and the bodhisattvas and so on. Also the music instruments and sounds are used in both traditions in different ways. While the Dharani is practiced automatically, they are used in some music instruments, but before starting Paritta chanting, we are having some drums or some kind of sound offerings to the Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha and so on. So the way that they are using is quite different, but the method is quite similar.
You got about a minute left, sir.
Okay.
Thanks, sir.
This is the end of the presentation conclusion. So now I am going to justify how this has, what are the reasons that can be adopted to influence this kind of thing. As you know, Mahayana influence began to take hold on Sri Lanka around the 7th century, and reached its zenith during the rule of King Mahasena in 8th century. By the 12th century, Tantrism became a living force when Parakram Bahu first built a building called Dharani Ghara, Gara means house or the shelter. Dharani Gara means a kind of building constructed by King Parakram Bahu first to recite the magic or incantations or the dharanis for the tantric practitioners. On the other hand, there is a significant place in which is called Nalanda Gedige, which is belonged to 8th century, was an image house where tantric rituals were performed, according to Sri Lankan archaeologists and historians. Then Chatubhanavara Pali, the Paritta text, not next, but text of Sri Lanka has compiled in Anuradhapura. Now you can see what happened. By the 7th century Mahayana tradition came, and by the 8th century it was popularized in Sri Lanka. By the 12th century, the kings has constructed some kind of buildings to make some recitations of the incantations of Dharani, and by the again by the 13th century, Chatubhanavara Pali, this Paritta text has been compiled in Sri Lanka. Therefore, we can clearly come into the conclusion that definitely Tantric traditions may have influence on Sri Lankan Paritta chanting. So whereas we cannot see such suttas in Pali canonical literature, Pali Tripitaka. Now there should be a place where we can grasp those things. Therefore, I would like to conclude that they may have compiled by Sri Lankan Buddhist monks or the Sri Lankan scholars by the influence of Mahayana tradition, especially in mantras or dharani. So thank you very much for your patience hearing.